Now, the promise of a partial ceasefire in Ukraine came out of President Trump's phone call with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Mr. Trump said the situation is so dire it's important to make some progress, even if it wasn't everything he wanted.
You have a lot of guns pointing at each other, and a ceasefire without going a little bit further would have been tough. Russia has the advantage, as you know. They have encircled about 2,500 soldiers.
Now, Russia and Ukraine are expected to exchange 175 prisoners of war today, as both sides accuse one another of launching aerial attacks on infrastructure overnight, with Ukraine saying Russian drones damaged 2 hospitals, forcing evacuations. CBS News correspondent Natalie Brand is monitoring all of these updates for us from the White House. Natalie, good morning to you. What else have we heard from this Trump-Putin call?
Good morning to you, Errol. Well, following this lengthy call, the headline that came out of it, according to the White House, is that the leaders agreed to a ceasefire on energy and infrastructure. But notably, Russia has not agreed to that full 30-day ceasefire that was agreed to by Ukraine during prior negotiations. Also, as you noted, there are reports of Russian strikes following this call. So that's something that we're going to have to learn more about today. Now, a Russian readout of this same call also noted that a key condition for working toward a resolution, according to the Kremlin, should be an end to foreign military aid and intelligence. Now, President Trump, in an interview with Fox News last night, said a lot of things were discussed during this call, but he said that aid specifically did not come up, according to the president. But really, what remains to be seen is the technical negotiations, which have not yet started. That is expected to happen later this week, beginning in the Middle East. Regarding this energy infrastructure and also a maritime ceasefire in the Black Sea. We've learned that Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff, who's been involved in these negotiations, is expected to head to Saudi Arabia this weekend.
We know that the Ukrainians are skeptical that Russia will uphold its side of any bargain. So how does the U.S. plan to get Russia to stick to any agreement?
Yeah, and that's the big question that remains. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky noting his skepticism. He said that he wants to understand how this will work technically. He said President Trump has his phone number and he wanted a call, which could happen, as you noted, according to the AP, as early as today. Again, these technical discussions just getting started. I spoke to a professor from George Washington University who's an expert on this region. He said, really, what we need to watch here is for the continued negotiations for this larger ceasefire that would cover land operations, in addition to this more narrow ceasefire, addressing Russian President Vladimir Putin's continued effort to try to seize land and assets. Take a listen.
The problem for the Ukrainians is security. How can you guarantee that any ceasefire that's agreed upon will last and won't just leave Ukraine vulnerable to future Russian attempts to take more land? And right now, that seems to be the biggest sticking point. And I haven't seen any public movement on the Russian side towards that end. So I think that's the biggest thing we have to hope is going on behind the scenes, is some pressure by the Trump administration or persuasion, whatever it takes, to get the Kremlin to agree to allow that to happen.
Professor Henry Hale says based on this phone call, it seems that Putin is trying to hold out for more time to try to seize as much territory as possible. He said that yesterday appears to be potentially a positive but small initial step. Where it goes from here remains to be seen, Errol.
All right, Natalie Brand with the latest on that. Natalie, thank you. More on this, let's bring in Ambassador William Taylor. He's a distinguished fellow at the Atlantic Council and a former U.S. ambassador to Ukraine. He also served from 2006 to 2009 under the Bush and Obama administrations. He was also the charge d'affaires at the U.S. Embassy in Kyiv in 2019. Mr. Ambassador, good morning to you. What's your reaction to the details we're hearing coming out of this call at a potential partial ceasefire?
Errol, the key word there is partial. As you've indicated, this is less than what both President Trump and President Zelensky had agreed and what President Trump sought from President Putin. So President Putin resisted the pressure or the request or the conversation about a real ceasefire, as you indicated, doesn't apply to the ground forces. This is where the killing it continues to go, and this is what President Trump has said he wants to stop. So they've not been able to get President Putin to agree to that, and that's going to be the key.
What's been interesting is that President Trump has said Russia holds all the cards. On that blow-up Oval Office meeting with Zelensky, he said Ukraine isn't holding any cards. So what do you make of the sense that the White House needs to apply pressure to Russia behind the scenes? Why not do that publicly?
However they do it, however the pressure comes, whether it's public or private, behind the scenes or overt, they do need to put pressure on Russia. Russia started this. Russia can end this. Russia is the one that's aggressing against Ukraine. So this is where the key will be in terms of a real ceasefire. And the Ukrainians, as you've pointed out, Errol, they've got some experience with Russian ceasefires, and the Russians don't keep the ceasefires. So the key part there is some kind of a security guarantee for Ukraine that if a ceasefire is in place, what's to keep the Russians from breaking it and coming back across the line?
And we've heard Russia's position being that they do not want Ukraine to have that security guarantee from other nations. You know, President Trump has said that if this doesn't work out, if they don't come up with something, it could spiral into World War III. The U.S. could end up getting involved. What do you think he means by that? What do you make of that?
I don't see that as a real possibility, Errol. But going back to your point about the Russian attitude towards a security guarantee, they don't get a vote in that. They don't have a voice. They don't have a choice on that. That's a decision. A security guarantee for Ukraine by the Europeans is something that the Europeans and the Ukrainians will agree to. In terms of a larger expansion of the war, Putin knows that to expand the war and shoot at and engage a NATO ally would be a disaster for him, would be suicide for him. So I don't see that as a real concern.
All right, Ambassador William Taylor, it's great to have your insight this morning. Appreciate you waking up with us from Arlington, Virginia. Thanks for your time.